So a true disciple chose to have a discussion with Myron Gaines, and this is what it sounded like. So let's get to it.
Where'd that fucking married go? You don't know my
And the
religion.
language is
It's like, all right,
foul.
bro.
I'll just put it
What's up,
out.
brother?
The
Mr.
language is
Gaines,
foul.
how
My
are you?
How are you,
apologies,
sir?
right?
I'm doing well, thank you. We met a couple of years ago back at Amfest in Arizona. It's good to see you again.
Yes, I think I recall meeting you.
Yeah, I was just with Jake Lang actually, standing outside the courthouse, Montgomery County Courthouse, when
Okay,
Jake was
you were there.
arrested. Yeah, I was there for the court hearing.
Awesome.
I'm super happy you're covering this topic because I think it's pretty important when it comes to the freedoms of speech.
Did you
that
see
we
the
all
video?
Enjoy.
Did you see the video?
Yeah, I did. I was there. I mean, at the hearing.
So you saw the video at the hearing?
Yeah.
Was the fact pattern like I said?
Exactly as you said. So
Thank
I
you,
just
sir.
want to give credence to what you said. It's exactly true. I had a couple questions real quick to ask you, but one thing I wanted to preface, I think you remember meeting my wife, Sarah. She was with me in Arizona when we met for the first time.
Yeah.
We have 6 children together. I'm 29 years old.
Congratulations, that's a beautiful thing. That's
6
great.
kids.
I want to say
29
to you,
Where's that
old.
Jewish fucking?
all of my buddies pressured me, and I think a lot of guys can attest to experiencing the same thing. You maybe have heard that, like, you're going to miss out. You need to screw a lot of bitches, and sorry for my French, but, like,
My
and
apologies,
you're going to sleep
y'all.
around,
You know me.
live your life, experience life,
Let's
right?
get to it.
That's what was said to me. And my wife said, well, what say you, when we were engaged? And I said, you know what? All of my first experiences and all of my last experiences I want to have with you and nobody else. I think we have a tradition in our culture of monogamy that's so important and should be valued and should be held in high esteem. All of our literature going back to England, it's the knight, it's the prince who's going after the princess. A princess who's held up in a tower, whose
It's going
virtue has
about
been
it
maintained
a long
and
way, dog.
protected.
Be
In my
patient,
life,
yo.
with my wife, when I met her, her father and her brothers protected her virtue, protected her chastity, and looked after her. And because of that, that's one of the reasons I really, really prized her, because she was pure, she was whole, she was innocent, she wasn't run through. You know, I was her first kiss. I love that. You know, and
That's right.
I feel like so many people, because of the degradation of our society, are not going to be able to experience that kind of beauty.
That's true.
Monogamy is central to our culture as Americans. It's also central to Christianity.
There we go.
If I'm mistaken, do you support polygyny?
Yeah. So my thing is, I think. So let me give you my position on this. I understand the importance of monogamy. I understand that it's how you build a society. I understand that when men are monogamous, they tend to be more, future oriented. They stabilize a bit. They want to they want to, work and provide for their family. Now, the things that you experience are great. I wish more guys can experience it. But unfortunately, this is no longer the new normal for most men. Most men, when they meet a girl, they're not going to be the first kiss. They're definitely not going to be the first dick. And they're not going to be the first guy to take her on a date. And I would argue in today's day and age, with the way women are, women have changed so much that to adhere to or hold that belief can set guys up for a really bad time when it comes to what is now basically has become a fairy tale. Now, what you have is fantastic, and I'm glad that you have that. That's beautiful. The reality is that most guys are not going to be in a position to find that and or get that, unfortunately, in today's society in 2026 with the way feminism is and everything else like that. So what I tell guys is, when it comes to the way the new normal is, you must adapt to the new normal. And I think guys need to be experienced with women where they're in a position where they're not necessarily being controlled via sex, because that is the female strategy, where they are going to, oh, you want some pussy, you need to take the trash out. Oh, you want to do this, you need to do that. You can't be in a situation where your woman is leveraging sex against you for compliance, which is how a lot of modern women do it, and a lot of guys will put themselves in compromising situations. So I don't want guys to be put in compromising situations for sexual access. Rather, I want them to be experienced with women, so the girl is, chasing their validation versus the other way around. So you need to be able to understand women, and unfortunately with that, you have to have premarital sex to a degree. I know this is very not, holy, and I know this is like very...
Why? What's the ultimate goal?
To have family.
So
This is the mindset post COVID. This is the pervading mindset post COVID. Myron speaks for a vast majority of unmarried men in 2026. this is how they think. So that's why I brought you this video with its foul language and everything, because I want to give you a glimpse into the mindset of your young adults. All right. So, with that being said,
Having a lot of premarital sex and fornicating is the ultimate goal is to have a family through that.
Well, so yes, your goal should be to have a family, but you also don't want to start a family with a woman that's a harlot that's going to ruin your life and make it bad for your children, where she's going to divorce you and cheat on you,
So
etc.
you should be a man whore, and that somehow is going to make you a man. I'm not following. So
Yeah. So okay. The female sexual strategy when she meets a guy is to sell purity. I'm
Right.
a good girl. Commit to me. Give me your resources. If a guy isn't experienced enough, he won't be able to tell if she's telling the truth or not. The only way that you're going to be able to tell that as a man nowadays is you need to be able to date women and identify certain characteristics, traits, and behaviors that are not conducive to a long-term relationship. Because unfortunately, since so many women grow up in fatherless households, a lot of women grow up with a very toxic mindset of masculinity. A lot of women grow up with this feminist ideology. Where they don't respect masculine authority and the things that, like you mentioned, like how your wife, right? She was preserved and protected by her
father and
father.
brothers, yeah.
Most women don't have that. So since most women don't have that, you kind of had a pre-assembled woman. Most men do not have that. So what they have to do is they almost have to assemble the woman on their own.
Yeah.
And they do that through vetting her, figuring out what she is, and then going off of that. And I know this, some women might get mad at me for saying this, but this is the reality of dating as a man, because if you get married to a woman, you have far more to lose a lot of times than the woman has to lose. So that's why I tell guys you need to be aware of this stuff, and you only get that through being around women.
I just have a caveat to what you just said.
Sure.
I will say here's a better strategy for men. There's plenty of really good, godly girls who are protected by their fathers and their brothers, but you're not going to find them in the strip club. You're not going to find them in the bars. You need to go to conservative, reformed Christian churches or holiness Pentecostal churches or independent Baptist churches where they're raised with that society and that culture, where not only are they shamed by their family if they go out and become sluts, they're shamed by their entire community, their church, family, everybody.
That's how it's supposed
So
to
they
be.
are socially engineered already from childhood, from birth,
That's
to
literally
maintain
how it's
chastity, to
supposed to be.
maintain virtue, that your duty is to be a wife and a mother in the home and to serve your husband. And that's what I got with my wife. So guys,
No, I
stop
know,
going
and
to
that's
bars.
Bring back shame. That's what's lacking in the society today. People just are not shameful. They're shameless. They don't care what you think about them. So, whether they want to be sexually liberated, have a new partner every day, nobody can call them out for that bad behavior, right? So, the church was supposed to be the rod of correction for the culture and for the society. But as time has gone, a lot of false teachers have come into the church, and the church has now become a political ground. The church has become, it's not going to disciple you. You've heard me say this on countless videos. The churches today are not discipling the congregation. Pretty much, they're just looking to get paid. So they're looking to get you to come to church, pay your tithes, and this is a wider faith movement. If you don't know, all churches are not created equally. So from the outside looking in, you just see a church and you think that they all subscribe or think alike. But it's not the case. You have the wider faith movement. Those are majority of your prosperity preachers, your Creflos, your Paula Whites, your um, you know who they are. You know, Copeland. All of those, they subscribe to the wider faith movement. Benny Hinn was part of that. He tried to pull away from it, but he never did return any of the funds that he had accumulated while he was in that type of ministry. So you can only know this from being on the inside. But if you're on the outside, all churches look like they're created equally, and that's just not the case. A really good preacher that I know of today that holds his congregation to a standard is Gino Jennings, Apostle Gino Jennings. If you pull up any one of his videos and look in the crowd, The crowd is all dressed decently, and that's cause the kind of teaching that's coming out of that pulpit is foundational. They hold the biblical scriptures to its rightful standard. That's what they go by. They don't go by what's popular, they don't go by what's politically right, they just go by scripture, regardless of who they're preaching to, right? And that's the church that I got baptized in, just for FYI.
Fantastic that you were able to find a girl that had these social training wheels in place where she came to you ready as a wife and she was prepared. What I'm saying is that that's just not a viable option for most guys.
I just
That's
don't
not
think most
realistic.
guys.
It's not realistic.
With all due respect, I don't think most guys are looking in the right place. You're not going to find them on the beaches. You're not going to find them in the
Sure.
bars. You're going to find them in a conservative church. I don't think the
part.
majority of the guys out here are going church shopping to go find.
Now, I'll be
conservative women.
honest about this. I'm sure there's plenty of guys here that, women will be hoes on Saturdays and go to church on Sundays, right? Like, so,
part
like,
too.
even if you go to the church and use these screening tactics that you're mentioning, which I agree with you. I think they're fantastic ways to
Listen.
kind of screen women. You're still going to have to be put through your paces and be able to identify a girl that's faking it until she makes it.
If you go to a non-denominational church and the girls dress like hoes during service, you're probably in the wrong church, because if they dress like hoes, chances are they're hoes. What I'm advocating for is that you go to a church with conservative values and morals.
That's a coming short.
Go
right
find
there.
the women there where those values and morals are maintained, because there's peer pressure from
Oh,
society.
I'm about to
Sure,
remix
that's
that.
one option.
I'm about to
But what
remix
I'm
the
saying is
heck
that
out of
most
that.
people, a lot of people are not religious. A lot of people
Go
are not
check my
Christian.
shorts
A
out
lot of
if you
people
haven't
might not.
watched them already.
They might be Muslim. They might be more secular or whatever. I'm giving more advice that's pragmatic based on where we are and how
yeah,
things are now.
definitely
If you're
showing
Christian
that.
and they, adopt your worldview, a Christian worldview, that's a fantastic way to go about it. But I'm giving a more, how do I say this? A bigger and larger overview for more men that they can adopt. That might not necessarily be Christian based, but if you're a
Secular
Christian
man.
based, yeah, that's a great way to go
Secular
about it.
man.
I still,
Absolutely.
tell
I'm
guys
glad
like,
that
hey, still
Myron
exercise discretion
knows
because a
what
woman
side
can
of
go
the
to church and
track
still be a
he's
3 or
on.
4.
Because he speaks to a lot of secular men and a lot of non-religious men. They follow him, and this is the danger of manosphere and also feminism. They operate like a cult. You hear what I'm saying? They both operate like a cult. Feminism is a cult of women, and manosphere is a cult of men. And most times, I'm actually surprised Myron is able to have this discussion with a person that's completely opposite from his mindset. You know what I mean? Because most of the people in this space, the minute you confront them, they cannot have this discussion. They can't have a debate. Literally, they'll be attacking you, ridiculing you, just putting you down, just because they don't like the content that you're speaking. So kudos to Myron for being able, at least, to have this conversation, even though they are completely opposite.
Yeah.
But that is one way to mitigate some of the risk.
Well, I think large society at large, yeah, that's corrupt. It's immoral, and this is you're paid to be so. The algorithms on social media promote promiscuity. We see all of these things. It's standardized in our culture. Yet the reality is there's another culture that's part of American heritage culture, and that's Christianity. Okay, that's part of the fabric of our society. And if you're going to miss out, you're going to miss out.
Fair.
But my recommendation to all men here is find Christ, become a Christian, get yourself in a conservative church. You probably won't find them out in California. At least there'll be very few. So get the heck out of California.
100%,
Find a religious
yo.
community.
California
Get
is super
involved. Get
liberal.
married young. Have more children
It's
than
the
you
house
can
of the
afford.
fallen angels.
That was the best advice Charlie ever gave to me. Last question, real quick.
Sure.
What do you think Charlie Kirk would say about Chud the Builder and his predicament today if he were alive? Just speculating.
I don't know. I think he would champion his ability to free speech.
That's a much
But I don't know.
answer.
And I don't want to speak for someone that's a deceased. Rest in peace to him. Me and Charlie
was
might have
wise.
disagreed on it and
That was
everything else,
wise
but
of him to
obviously,
do that.
the people that are cheering his death and everything else like that, like fuck them. Rest in peace to Charlie. But yeah. So I wouldn't know.
Agreed. Yeah, I'm anti as well, anti-Zionist. God bless you. Thank you for
Thank
giving
you,
me the
and I
time
appreciate
to,
you.
to
I
ask the
appreciate that we
questions.
have
We
someone here
copy
that's a
that
witness that
loud and
actually
clear.
watched the footage from there, because I think a lot of people don't know the facts of the case. And it's good that we have someone here that actually watched